Welcome to the Destin Business Forum, brought to you by the Destin Area Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by the Henderson Park Inn. I'm your host, Amy Perry, and today I have two people from Emerald Coast Hospice. Carol Hickey, you are the hospice specialist, and Brian Pullum, you are a clinical liaison. Tell me what Emerald Coast Hospice is.
Well, Emerald Coast Hospice is a nonprofit hospice organization that cares for patients with life-limiting illnesses in the residences all across the panhandle. We've actually been in business for over 20 years, and we're part of the Kindred at Home network. So Kindred at Home is the nation's leading provider of home health, hospice, and community care services.
Okay, so when you say home, does that mean it has to be in the home, or can it be like if they're in a nursing home?
It can be a nursing home, their regular home, or even assisted living facilities as well. Anywhere a patient calls home, hospice will follow them.
Okay, and who... if I have a relative or a friend or somebody who I think is very, very sick and might need hospice care, can I just call you up, or do I have to get a doctor's okay or a nurse's okay? Or
actually, you can. You could call us up, and we're happy to advocate for you to try to contact your doctors for you and physicians, or even just to have you come in and get information about what hospice services, what we provide, and kind of what we do.
Do you need a doctor's approval, though, to get hospice care? Is that...
You do. You actually need two physicians' approvals. Usually we will get the first doctor that comes through is usually a primary care doctor, or maybe a physician in a hospital. Okay. And then the second one is our hospice medical director. So those two physicians, based on kind of the clinical findings, come to an agreement that a patient is ready for hospice care.
And are there any guidelines that the doctors have to follow, or that they do follow?
Yes. A person has to have a life-limiting illness. For instance, they have to have congestive heart failure, COPD, cancer, end-stage Alzheimer's disease, something that is limiting their life expectancy.
Okay, all right. And a doctor makes that determination?
Correct.
Who pays for hospice?
Hospice is paid for 100% by Medicare, Medicaid, also health insurance companies. A person could self-pay or private pay, and we also accept any referral regardless of their ability to pay.
Okay, and tell me, when somebody gets hospice to come in, we've passed all the hurdles, the doctor says yes, and it's going to be paid for or not, whatever. What do they do when they come into where the person, let's say, lives, the hospital, the home, nursing home?
Well, really, I think the goal of hospice care is to surround a patient and a family with a team of hospice-trained individuals who can really focus on the physical, emotional, or spiritual aspects of their care. Obviously, the goal of hospice as a whole as well is just to provide quality of life and just to make every moment matter, however much time that may be.
You mentioned a team. Who all is on the team?
This hospice's team, it consists of nurses aides, a social worker, a chaplain, and also volunteers. And they all have been especially trained for end-of-life care.
So all these people come into the home at one time, or?
Not all at once. It's not like a football team showing up to a home, but we do. We really tailor hospice care to what an individual needs. There's no right way or wrong way to do hospice. So really, as a nurse gets out there and we begin to assess what a patient really needs, maybe they're having more spiritual struggle, maybe they need more nursing care, we're able to really tailor that. Some people may not want to have a spiritual person come out and speak to them, and that's okay. It's not a right or wrong way to do it. It's really just what the individual needs at that time.
Yeah, I would imagine you have to tailor what you give to...
Exactly. Everyone is different. Yeah. Every situation is different.
Do you ever have people that don't want hospice at all?
We do. I think some people think hospice is kind of giving up, or maybe they still have a lot of fight in them, depending on what their disease process may be, and that's okay. We respect that. But we want people to know that when they're ready for us, we're there for them. Hospice is there, like I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whenever they need us, we're able to come in at any point and begin services.
Brian, your voice is so soothing. I can imagine how. Do you do that now? Are you in the home? Or
I was a bedside nurse up until a few months ago, and recently I've stepped into my new role as clinical liaison. So the main focus of my role within Emerald Coast Hospice is if a patient is in a hospital and gets news that they may be considering hospice services, or that doctors made that determination, I'm kind of the first point of contact with that patient or their family, just to explain what hospice is, what services we offer, and then really kind of the fetch between the doctors and the hospital and our facility to make sure we have all the paperwork done, we have all the equipment ordered, so that when a patient transitions to home, it's nice and smooth and they don't really see a gap in their care at all.
Got it. We were talking about people sometimes not wanting it because they feel like they're giving up, or the end is really close. Have you ever had anybody who has come out of hospice and recovered or gotten better?
Yeah, all the time. We call it around the office graduating from hospice, and it's a good thing. And I think it occurs from not necessarily a doctor who may have misdiagnosed a patient, but I think it's more centers around the focus care that Emerald Coast Hospice provides. When you have a nurse coming out and visiting you 2 or 3 times a week, and you have chaplain services and social workers, and you have all these people really focused and centered around your care, getting healthier is not an unexpected outcome. It happens all the time. The good thing about hospice is it isn't contractual. So if someone maybe doesn't want hospice or graduates from hospice, they can always come back later on to hospice, and we're happy to follow them either through one of our through our home health agency at Kindred at Home, or just making calls to the patient, whatever they're comfortable with, as far
periodic
as this
calls.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff. That's a cool thing. I would imagine that you would be really happy when that happens, but also when somebody does pass on, how do you steel yourself against just being ripped up about it?
Well, sometimes it's okay to be ripped up about it. I think it shows a family that you were, as a nurse, really vested in that patient's care, or in the family's care too. Sometimes we may not cry for a patient per se if we know that this outcome is expected, but we may grieve for the family because we built a relationship with the family. So I think people deal with that sort of thing in different ways, either through humor, maybe just being quiet for a few moments with family or friends, maybe getting angry about it, cranking up music on the radio. The important thing about hospice is, like I said, all of our team members are specialty trained, so we're really good about grieving, getting through it, and then moving on to the next family and putting on that happy face and going in and doing the job, because that next family expects us to be providing it the excellent care that we do, for the family previous.
Taking all your experiences and helping.
Exactly.
You're going to move on to the next case.
Yeah.
And we are almost out of time, but I think I skipped over something. When you come in and provide care, obviously you're going to provide it to the patient, but I would think that you're also providing some type of support or care for the family that's there too.
We do, yeah. We our cares are twofold on the patient and the family, and after a patient passes away, we also offer bereavement for up to 13 months after a patient passes. So we have someone calling just to make sure that they're doing okay. We have support groups. We even have an annual memorial service that we offer for all of our families that have lost patients previous. So there's a lot we do. We don't just we're not through with a family once a patient passes. Hospice wants to still maintain that relationship and make sure that they get through that grieving process okay.
Give that support. Well, what a tough job, but I'm so happy that organizations like yours exist, and I hope I see you back here. I hope I don't need you in the very near future, but I'm glad you're there if I do or someone else does.
Right.
Sure. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be back.